Okay, the coronavirus outbreak and the numbers game. Uh, and all the different comments I've been getting from people, a lot of people are saying, that this doesn't look any worse than a normal flu season outbreak with deaths in that. And it is kind of curious. And I guess when this first started, the guy said that on a normal flu thing, usually 1% of the people that become ill die. But he said this one's worse, and they're saying that 10% of the people that get it, it will be fatal. Okay? So for weeks, and what created all this, we've been having these numbers thrown at us. And they said, President Trump got on, I guess, all the projections show that this is going to be the worst week. This is where it's going to kind of spike and then I guess gradually come down, supposedly, is what some people are saying. What they say changes every day, too. But looking into it, and my wife went around and found some projections a few days ago on a link on a computer. And when I asked her, I wanted to see it because people are talking about that with me. She couldn't find the link, and what it was is two different places were giving a projection. There was one from one source and one from another. And they were two, one was projecting this low and saying it's not as bad, and one was saying, no, you're wrong, it's going to be much higher and much worse. So there is, no way of getting a straight answer, okay? And everyone keeps going on TV and advising you this. The only thing I do know is they're calling for stronger restrictions and making this stay-at-home lockdown longer than, the end of this month. Now, President Trump got on and he wanted to go and lift a lot of this after this weekend, after Easter. Try to get the country to start working again and that. And they all condemned him for it and got, pressured him and all this. And it doesn't matter what that man says, one way or the other, or it doesn't matter what he does. He is the president, and somebody's going to blame him for everything, okay? Whether he is to blame or not. Okay, that's what I'm saying. This is ridiculous. And that's, that goes to show. No matter what he says, no matter what he does, they are going to say that for some reason anything bad that happened is all because of his fault, which, is not true. He is being advised by health officials to do this. I believe he has a good business sense, and he's trying to avoid the economic destruction of our country. And now what I'm seeing is, like in my state, North Carolina, the governor's saying that he wants to have tighter control and stricter enforcement of the stay at home and keep it longer. Okay. I guess this morning, and it's Wednesday today, Burlington said that they're actually going to send the police around to look for businesses that are open and either shut down ones that are not deemed essential. And if they are deemed essential, they'll have people there to regulate how many people can go in the building. Okay. But altogether, the numbers, which, I've looked and I really can't find anything concrete to tell you one way or the other. There was some kind of a projection I found on a chart, and it looks like during this week, the next few days, they're expecting, in the United States. Okay, that's another thing. You got to get a perspective. Is it the United States as a whole? Is it the state? Or is it global? Okay, but in the United States, they're looking at 1,500 to 2,000 deaths per day the rest of this week. Okay, and the only numbers I could find, and I don't know how current they are or correct they are, is in North Carolina was listed 61 deaths. I think on the news today they said, on the morning news, that it went up to 69 maybe. I'm not quite sure. And then it listed deaths in the U.S. at 12,974. So about 13,000 people have perished from this since whatever date they give as the beginning. Okay. I do not know how this compares to a normal flu season. See, I don't follow these numbers, okay? I know some people may have looked it up and that, but some people are saying that these numbers are not looking any different than a normal flu season. So, which leads me to question, and what's kind of in the back of everyone's mind, is this need to lock us down, to tighten and restrict, and more fear and more anxiety, and they want everyone to wear a mask when they go outside, and rubber gloves and all this other stuff. And well, I haven't, okay, no ill effect. People have said that when you go pump gas, if you don't sanitize the handle or the nozzle, that you could get the virus from that and die. Somebody from San Francisco told me that a lone guy was surfing, and the police went and dragged him, got him to come to shore and arrested him and everything. Well, I found out the reason they closed the beaches is they say if you get the virus in the water, then the action of the waves makes a mist. The virus will travel in the mist in the air and go down into the surrounding area and spread the virus everywhere. Well, okay, so you get a cold. Everyone does just about once a year during the cold and flu season. But this is different. I mean, what's scary is the control, and we're going to make this last longer. You're going to have to wear a mask and gloves, or, if I go to Costco again, am I going to be stopped by the police? Am I going to be fined? And that was another weird thing. I was driving somewhere today, and on one of the radio shows, they always have these things, but what they did was play a clip from an interview, a TV or radio interview, of a woman leaving church on Palm Sunday, last Sunday. And this woman was driving out, probably an elderly woman, and the reporter gets the microphone, goes, even though with this coronavirus and the stay-at-home orders you went to church, and she says, yes, my faith is important to me. And then the reporter just starts getting on her like, well, don't you care? Don't you know? She goes, no, my faith is important to me. I'm with the people in my congregation. Basically, she's saying the Lord will protect us, okay? And he goes, well, so he can't go that route. So he turns it around to where now he's telling this woman, do you know that going there in the group in the church, you could get infected, come out, and then spread the virus. Now it's making it look like she went to church, and now you're a detriment to society because now you're going to spread this disease around like Typhoid Mary because you went to pray on Palm Sunday. Okay. I think it's kind of asinine, and also attacking people. People are forgetting. They have mentioned a lot of our rights are violated by all of this, okay? The right to gather in public, have a peaceful gathering. It's either the amendments, the constitutional amendments, or the Bill of Rights, okay? But one of them is freedom of speech and freedom of religion, okay? You're not supposed to do this, but when you start imposing this on people, it's one of my lizards, it kind of sounds familiar, this thing, well, you went to this church, you're going to spread the virus and cause ill health to all of these people. You're inadvertently doing this. Well, when you put it in that light, he's doing the same thing that a couple governments did. One was run by a guy named Stalin, who went after any form of religion other than looking at his picture, okay? Another guy that did that was a fellow back in the 30s in Germany and the Nazi party there, they also had this thing where they attacked all the churches and broke up their power over the control of people. Okay? It is the first step of a fascist dictatorship to crush people's religious freedom. Because that is something that brings them together. Their faith keeps them strong. Their faith helps them oppose oppression and this crisis and disaster. Actually, the church is where these people should be going to pray. Okay, with the big Christian holiday of Easter. Okay, and our rights as Americans to freedom of religion. Okay, these are being violated. And like I said, with these numbers, is this any worse than a normal flu season? You know, I guess it is, it isn't. It doesn't look like it is. And I mean, yeah, there's these horrible stories of they don't have ventilators or respirators or something, and in a lot of the major cities are running out of hospital beds and respirators, and you hear in the news that they're going to have a priority list of who gets put on the respirator, and all these other pretty much frightening and evil things going on. Where they're going to give you a priority, you know, somebody like me compared to somebody that's half my age. You've kind of lived already, so we're going to give them the break, not you. How true this is, I don't know. The fact that you see it on the internet or in a news report, you know, one way or the other, is kind of criminal. Even if it is true, you really shouldn't be putting stuff like that out there to just make people even more panicky and frightened. Okay? It doesn't do anyone any good. So, you know, I've heard a lot of people griping and complaining, and, you know, now it's starting, you know, I'm starting to look at it where, you know, where's all this projected problems and stuff that they're projecting. Okay, again, it's projections. All right? So I guess we're going to have to get through this week and see how it goes. And I'm going to make another video here in a few days about, you know, as this restrictions go, I want to wait another day and see how many different cities get to where, you know, you have to have a mask, or they're going to have this lockdown to where, you know, really there are no roadblocks. I drove to Greensboro, I drove up the highway, there's no roadblocks, nobody's asking me where I'm going. None of this yet, okay? But I did talk to someone that lives in a London suburb, and the police are out, and if you leave your home, they will ask you, where are you going? And, you know, and if you say the store, just say the store. And he goes, well, you just can't do that. Because if you're heading in this direction, they'll go, which particular store are you going to? And if you tell them, well, I'm going to so-and-so, which is like on the other side of town, opposite direction, they know that you're lying. Okay? How true this is or how tight it is there in London, I don't know. But, you know, in our country, it's kind of, that's another thing. They really can't do that. But then again, I remember back in the 90s when they pushed the DWI laws up in New York State, which, by the way, is not a pleasant place to live anymore. They'd have the roadblocks at night for DWI, and they'd set them up, okay? But then there was something going on there where they had these roadblocks or checkpoints in the middle of the day. And I think I was going somewhere to get a building permit to put a shed on the back of my property or something, so I was driving through town, and there's a cop, like at a roadblock on this road. And it's, you know, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He makes me stop. You know, where are you going? Well, I'm going home. I go down, take a right, and drive up 2 miles, and, you know, take another right, and I'm home. Oh, and I had these papers on the passenger seat that when I got out of the office, I just threw them there, and they were kind of floating around. He's like looking at the documents, leaning over, looking. Like, you know, it's none of your business what those papers are. It's my personal property. It's not illegal. It's not a weapon. It's not narcotics. It's forms. But that's where they had a bit of that fascism, and that's why I call it the new fascist New York State, because it is. And they're going animal up there. That's where you hear this about taking ventilators or whatever from one area down to New York City, and the governor said that gun shops are not a necessity, even though this and that, and all this goes on. It kind of looks like, and they keep saying it, the new norm, that we are living in some sort of military police state where you're going to be questioned when you travel from your home and all this other stuff. So it's kind of scary. But kind of got off on a tangent there, but that's what's going on. I can't say whether the numbers are right or true. They can tell you anything, and really there's no way you knowing what's true or not anymore, no matter where your news source is. But just stay calm and stay tuned.